Let me ask you something straight. When was the last time you actually sat down and checked whether the driving laws in your state had changed? Not 5 years ago, not when you first got your license, recently, this year, this month. If your answer is anything other than recently, you are driving with outdated information. And outdated information at a traffic stop, at a checkpoint, at the moment an officer is standing at your window asking why you did something you did not even know was now illegal, that is not just inconvenient. That is expensive. That is points on your license. That is insurance rates climbing. That is a suspended license sitting in your future that you never saw coming. Here is what nobody tells you about 2026. This year brought more changes to driving laws across the United States than any single year in the past decade. New hands-free requirements, new speed enforcement technology, new rules around electric vehicles, license renewals, traffic stops, and more. Some of these changes happened quietly. Some of them took effect on January 1st and barely made the news. And number 3 on this list is the one that is catching drivers completely off guard because it involves something every single person watching this video does behind the wheel every single day. 10 laws, 10 changes, 1 video. Let us make sure you are not the last to know. Welcome back to Traffic Rights Lawyer. This channel exists for one reason: to make sure you are never the driver who gets caught out by something you simply were not told. And today, that mission has never been more urgent. Every year, laws change, limits shift, new technology creates new rules, old assumptions become new violations. Most drivers absorb this information slowly through a ticket they did not expect or a stop that went sideways over something they had no idea was now illegal. That is the worst possible way to learn. We are doing this differently right now, before any of these changes cost you anything. By the time this video ends, you are going to know exactly what shifted in 2026, exactly how it affects you behind the wheel, and exactly what you need to do to make sure none of these new rules ever catch you on the wrong side of a traffic stop. Let us get into all 10. Law 1. Hands-free is no longer optional in most states. If you are still holding your phone while driving in 2026, you are operating under rules that no longer exist in the majority of states. As of this year, hands-free legislation has either been enacted or significantly strengthened in more than 35 states. That means no holding your phone for calls, navigation, or anything else while the vehicle is in motion. Bluetooth, dashboard mounts, and speakerphones set down before driving are your only legal options. First offense fines in several states now start at $250 and climb sharply from there, with repeat violations carrying license suspension in states including California, New York, and Washington. Law 2. Speed cameras now issue tickets without a police stop. Automated speed enforcement technology expanded dramatically entering 2026. Cities including Chicago, New York, Denver, and Washington, D.C. have significantly increased their automated camera networks, and several states that previously banned speed cameras have reversed those bans this year. What this means for you is simple. You can now receive a speeding violation mailed directly to your home without ever being pulled over, without ever speaking to an officer, and without any of the constitutional protections that apply during a live traffic stop. The ticket arrives. The fine is due, and your insurance provider finds out regardless. Law 3. Every word you say is now being recorded and analyzed. This is the one most drivers are completely unprepared for, and the reason we listed it third. In 2026, multiple states have either enacted or expanded legislation authorizing the use of AI-assisted recording systems in patrol vehicles. These systems do not just record audio and video passively. They flag specific language patterns, cross-reference statements against existing databases, and generate automated notation in the officer's digital report in real time. What this means practically is that the casual, trying to be helpful answers most drivers give at a traffic stop are now being processed, stored, and potentially cross-referenced in ways that were not possible even 2 years ago. The statement, "I just came from a friend's house," is no longer just something the officer scribbles in a notebook. In jurisdictions using these systems, it becomes a time-stamped, digitally stored declaration attached to your stop record. Your Fifth Amendment right to remain silent has never been more relevant than it is right now in 2026. Exercise it politely, calmly, and consistently. Law 4. Electric vehicle rules just got significantly stricter. As EV ownership surges across the country, lawmakers have responded with a new wave of regulations that took effect this year. Several states now require EV owners to complete updated licensing endorsements acknowledging familiarity with specific EV operational rules, including regenerative braking behavior, charging station etiquette laws, and HUV lane eligibility changes. Additionally, new rules around EV operation in extreme weather conditions, specifically around battery management and hazard light requirements during reduced power situations, are now on the books in 12 states. If you drive an electric vehicle and have not checked your state's updated EV-specific regulations in 2026, you are potentially operating outside current law without knowing it. Law 5. License renewal requirements have changed in 17 states. 17 states updated their license renewal protocols entering 2026. The changes vary by state, but the most common updates include mandatory vision retesting for drivers over 65, new digital identity verification requirements tied to the Real ID Act enforcement deadline, and updated medical disclosure requirements for drivers with certain conditions. If your license renewal falls in 2026, do not assume the process works the same way it did last time. Check your state DMV directly because the requirements may be materially different from your last renewal, and failure to meet the new standards can result in an invalid license even after you believe you have renewed. Law 6. Right on red is no longer universal. This one surprises people every single time. Right turns on red, which most American drivers have assumed as a universal right since the 1970s, are now restricted or outright banned at a growing number of intersections across the country. In 2026, New York City's expanded right on red band covers virtually the entire city. Washington, D.C. has implemented similar restrictions across large portions of the district. And several other major municipalities have added intersection-specific prohibitions that are marked with signage many drivers are simply not noticing. Running a prohibited right on red is treated as a moving violation in every jurisdiction where the restriction applies. Look for the sign every single time. Law 7. Unmarked police vehicles have expanded legal authority in several states. In 2026, legislation in multiple states has expanded the circumstances under which unmarked police vehicles can conduct traffic stops without a uniformed officer present. This is directly relevant to your safety and your rights. If you are pulled over by what appears to be an unmarked vehicle and you have any uncertainty about its legitimacy, you are legally permitted in most states to slow down, turn on your hazard lights, and proceed at a reduced speed to a well-lit public location before stopping. You may also call 911 to verify the stop while remaining in the vehicle. Do not simply pull over on an isolated road for an unmarked vehicle without taking basic safety precautions first. Law 8. Passing emergency vehicles now requires a full lane change in all 50 states. Move-over laws have existed for years, but 2026 marks the first year in which all 50 states have aligned on a consistent standard requiring drivers to move over a full lane when passing stopped emergency vehicles, tow trucks, and road service vehicles. Previously, some states only required reduced speed. Now, the full lane change is mandatory nationwide, and enforcement has increased significantly alongside the legislative alignment. Fines for violations start at $150 in the most lenient states and exceed $500 in states with enhanced penalty provisions. Law 9. Cops already know before you hand anything over. Paper insurance cards are not gone, but they are no longer sufficient proof of coverage in a growing number of states. As of 2026, 32 states have implemented real-time digital insurance verification systems that officers access directly through their in-vehicle systems during a traffic stop. This means the officer knows whether your coverage is active before you hand over anything. If your policy lapsed even briefly and was reinstated, that gap may appear in the system. If there is any discrepancy between your paper card and the live database record, the paper card does not override the system. Make absolutely certain your coverage is current, active, and accurately reflected in your insurer's reporting before every drive. Law 10. Eating behind the wheel is now a moving violation. The final change on this list is the one with the broadest long-term implications. 8 states have expanded their distracted driving statutes in 2026 to include non-phone activities that visibly impair driver attention. Eating behind the wheel, applying makeup, reading printed materials, and in some cases extended interaction with in-vehicle entertainment systems are now explicitly included in distracted driving provisions in these states. Enforcement is observation-based, meaning an officer who observes the behavior has grounds to initiate a stop. The legal standard is whether the activity visibly diverted the driver's attention from the road. In these 8 states, that standard is now enough. 10 laws, 10 changes, all of them in effect right now in 2026. And every single one of them capable of turning an ordinary drive into an expensive, stressful, and entirely avoidable legal situation for a driver who simply was not informed. Here is what I want you to do before you close this video. Pick the 3 laws on this list that are most relevant to how you drive every day. Look up the specific version of each one in your state. Spend 15 minutes doing that, and you will have done more to protect your license, your record, and your wallet than most drivers will do all year. Knowledge is not just power behind the wheel, it is protection. And the drivers who have it are the ones who make it home without a ticket, without a court date, and without a story they wish they could tell differently. If this video gave you something you needed to know, share it with every driver in your life right now. Not tomorrow, right now. Because one of them is going to get caught by one of these changes, and this video might be the only thing standing between them and that moment. Subscribe to Traffic Rights Lawyer because this is what we do. Every single video, every single week, we make sure you are never the driver who did not know. Stay legal, stay informed, stay protected. See you in the next one.